Hello and welcome to our guide for Galakras, the 5th boss in the Siege of Orgrimmar. This is a 2-phase fight. In Phase 1, you have to defeat several waves of adds and 4 mini-bosses, while in Phase 2 you have to defeat Galakras herself, who during Phase 1 is flying in the air and is not part of the fight. Before we talk about the mini-bosses and the adds, let's talk a bit about how the fight is structured. In order to force Galakras to descend and engage you at the end of Phase 1, you will have to shoot her with 2 anti-air turrets at the same time. These turrets are on top of 2 guard towers that are located where the fight is taking place. The towers are initially inaccessible to your raid, but as the fight goes on, they become accessible. The first tower to open up is the southern one, and one of the mini-bosses will spawn on top of it. Part of your raid, a team comprised of a tank, some healers and DPS players, will have to enter the tower, fight the adds that are inside it, and make its way to the top. The adds inside the tower are of the same kind as the adds that engage your raid outside the tower. As adds are killed inside the tower, your raid will progressively gain control of it, which is indicated by a control bar on your screen. Killing all the adds and the mini-boss on top of the tower will grant you full control, allowing you to use the anti-air turret. Later on, the northern tower will also open up, and you will have to repeat the process defeating the mini-boss that is on top of that tower. Throughout the fight, you will receive help from 3 of your faction's leaders. They just deal some damage and help out a bit, and you don't need to worry too much about them, but it is important that they do not get killed, because if one of them dies, you instantly wipe. One of the adds that spawns during Phase 1 fixates on an NPC and channels a very damaging attack on them, so you'll always have to stun these adds to interrupt their spell. So, let's look at everything that happens in Phase 1. We'll go over the adds, their abilities and how to handle them, and then the mini-bosses. Dragon Maw Bone Crushers charge a faction leader and channel Fracture on them. You need to stun them to interrupt these casts and kill them. Dragon Maw Tidal Shamans cast interruptible healing spells on their allies, and they also create healing tide totems. You need to interrupt them and kill the totems right away. These adds are very high priority. Dragon Maw Flag Bearers put down banners that buff other enemies. These banners just need to be killed right away. Dragon Maw Flame Slingers shoot fire-tipped arrows at random raid members, dealing damage and leaving behind small fiery void zones on the ground. You need to be quick to move out of these void zones. Dragon Maw Grunts deal heavy melee damage. Dragon Maw Wind Reavers fly around on the backs of Dragon Maw Proto-Drakes, dealing damage to random raid members. They can be easily destroyed using the anti-air turrets used to shoot down Galakras later on. Finally, 2 Korkron Demolishers will spawn during the fight, one each time a tower opens up. The Demolishers will deal a lot of damage to the players inside the tower, so it is important to kill them right away. We can't set a general priority for killing the adds because they do not all spawn at the same time. As long as you always kill Tidal Shamans, Healing Tide Totems and Banners right away and stun Bone Crushers, you should be fine. Now let's talk about the mini-bosses. Korgra the Snake engages your raid on the ground. She stacks a nature damage dot on her tank, but she dies so quickly that this doesn't really require a tank switch. She also summons damaging poison clouds at her location, and after she reaches 50% health, she spams an uninterruptible venom bolt volley. 2 adds called Dragon Maw Ebon Stalkers join the fight with her, and these adds try to kill raid members by attacking them from behind. If they teleport behind you, just run out of their range and you will be fine. High Enforcer Thranok spawns on the ground later on in the fight. He has a cleave attack and he will sometimes pull a lot of raid members to him and then cast a spell called Skullcracker that deals lethal damage in a small area around the boss. Just make sure to get away from him as soon as he pulls players in and face him away from the raid. Lieutenant Kruggruk spawns on the southern tower. He spams a frontal cone attack that knocks players back, and he always changes the direction he is facing, so you need to be careful. He also deals damage to players around him with Thunderclap, but there isn't much you can do about that. Master Cannoneer Dagrin spawns on the northern tower. He deals damage to random raid members, and he sometimes does a series of frontal cone attacks in random directions which knock back affected players. Just dodge his cone attacks and kill him. There is not much to be said about the general strategy for this phase other than handling all the abilities as they are thrown at your raid. Once you've triggered Phase 2 and Galakras descends, the fight becomes very simple. She only has 3 abilities. She uses a stacking tank debuff that requires a regular tank switch. She deals regular raid-wide damage through an ability called Pulsing Flames, which also stacks a self-buff on her, increasing her fire damage done. Finally, she uses Flames of Galakras, which is the most problematic ability during this phase. The boss targets a random ranged raid member and fires a slow fireball at them. When the fireball reaches its target, it deals a very large amount of raid-wide damage. Fortunately, players can reduce the damage of this explosion by intercepting the fireball, but this applies a stacking fire damage dot on them. For every player who intercepts the fireball, the damage of the dot applied to subsequent interceptors is lower as well. The strategy is very simple here. Have your melee stack up behind Galakras and have your ranged players form a group farther away behind them. This way, every single fireball from Flames of Galakras will pass through all the melee players and at least several ranged players on its way to its target, reducing its damage greatly. Depending on your raid's DPS, you may be able to kill Galakras before the stacking fire damage dot caused by intercepting the fireballs gets too high, but if not, simply have players with a lot of stacks move out and drop their stacks. For a more detailed and constantly updated written version of this guide, go to the link in the description. Thank you for watching.